The story of Cronus. Cronus, a name synonymous with power, betrayal, and cyclical destiny, stands as one of the most pivotal and tragic figures in Greek mythology. His story is not merely one of a ruler who sought to dominate, but a mythic reflection of the unforgiving nature of time, succession, and prophecy. As the leader of the Titans, Cronus was central to a cosmic drama that saw him overthrow his father Uranus, only to be overthrown by his own son, Zeus. This irony, this eternal cycle of fathers rising and falling, not only defines Cronus, but shapes the very structure of Greek myth and the relationships between gods, humans, and fate. The myth of Cronus is one of the oldest and most powerful in Greek mythology. His tale touches on universal themes: the fear of losing power, the anxiety of being overthrown, and the lengths to which one will go to defy fate. It is a story that resonates across cultures and epochs, for it is the story of dynastic struggles, of fathers and sons, of rebellion, and of the brutal cost of ambition. In this documentary, we will explore the origins of Cronus, his rise to power, his reign, and the ultimate betrayal that would lead to his downfall. Part 1. The origins of Cronus, a primordial titan. The story of Cronus begins long before he became the ruler of the Titans. To understand his rise to power, we must first delve into his origins within the primordial world of Greek mythology, where the earliest deities and forces of nature ruled. Cronus was born to Gaia, the earth, and Uranus, the sky. These two figures, Gaia and Uranus, are among the most ancient and powerful beings in the Greek mythological tradition. Gaia, with her deep connection to the earth, and Uranus, who embodied the vast, unbounded sky, represent the cosmic union of land and sky that brought forth life. Gaia and Uranus's relationship, however, was far from harmonious. Though they produced numerous offspring, including the mighty Titans, the Cyclopes, and the hundred-handed ones, Uranus was a cruel and tyrannical father. He imprisoned his children in Tartarus, the darkest part of the underworld, fearing their potential to rival his power. These imprisonments tormented Gaia, who, as the mother of these imprisoned children, experienced immense pain from the unjust treatment of her progeny. Over time, her frustration grew, and she hatched a plan for vengeance against her husband, Uranus. Gaia, the great earth goddess, sought the help of her children, the Titans, but none were brave enough to defy Uranus, except for Cronus, the youngest and most ambitious of the Titans. Cronus felt a deep resentment for his father's tyranny and saw an opportunity for himself. The myth tells us that Gaia created a sickle of stone, a symbol of both creation and destruction, and gave it to Cronus. With this weapon in hand, Cronus confronted his father, Uranus, in a decisive and violent act. In a brutal moment of betrayal, Cronus castrated Uranus, throwing his severed genitals into the sea. This act marked the symbolic end of Uranus's reign and the beginning of Cronus's ascent to power. By overthrowing Uranus, Cronus not only freed his siblings, but also claimed dominion over the heavens, the earth, and all that lay between them. His reign marked the beginning of a new age, an age in which he would rule as the most powerful being in the cosmos. Yet, despite his newfound power, Cronus's rule would be defined by fear, insecurity, and a deep desire to protect his sovereignty at all costs. Part 2. The reign of Cronus, a tyrant's rule. After the violent overthrow of Uranus, Cronus became the ruler of the universe. As the new king of the gods, he brought a sense of order and stability to the world. But his rule was marked by an underlying fear that would shape much of his actions. Cronus, despite having triumphed over his father, could not escape the weight of prophecy and the recurring themes of succession that plagued the divine order. A prophecy, foretold by the oracle of Gaia, warned Cronus that one of his own children would rise up and overthrow him, just as he had overthrown Uranus. This prediction deeply troubled Cronus. Fearful of losing his throne, he took extreme measures to prevent the prophecy from coming true. The cruel solution he devised was to swallow his children as they were born, one by one. Cronus's wife, Rhea, gave birth to the first of their children, Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon. But each time, Cronus took the newborn god in his hands and swallowed them whole. This brutal act of infanticide was driven by a desperate, paranoid desire to protect his power and keep his reign intact. The fact that Cronus devoured his children was not merely an act of physical violence, but also an expression of his terror. In consuming his own flesh and blood, Cronus sought to suppress any future threats to his rule, including the son who was prophesied to destroy him. The power of Cronus lay not only in his control over the heavens and earth, but also in his ability to suppress and contain any potential rivals, even those born from his own flesh. Rhea, devastated by the loss of each of her children, eventually devised a plan to save the youngest, Zeus. When Zeus was born, Rhea secretly entrusted him to the care of nymphs on the island of Crete, hoping that he could grow to become the powerful force needed to challenge Cronus' tyranny. Meanwhile, Rhea tricked Cronus into swallowing a stone wrapped in swaddling clothes, thinking it was the newborn Zeus. Cronus, unaware of the deception, swallowed the stone, and Zeus's life was spared. Rhea's act of defiance against her husband's rule marked the beginning of a new chapter in the mythological saga of the Olympian gods. While Cronus believed that by consuming his children, he was securing his throne, in reality, his actions were sowing the seeds of his own downfall. Zeus, the very child Cronus sought to destroy, was growing in secret, biding his time to fulfill the prophecy and overthrow his tyrannical father. Part 3. The Rise of Zeus. Cronus' downfall begins. As Zeus grew into a powerful and charismatic figure, the prophecy that had haunted Cronus since his rise to power slowly began to materialize. Rhea's secret actions had ensured that Zeus survived, and under the guardianship of nymphs on Crete, he was raised in secret, far from Cronus' wrath. The young god grew strong, wise, and full of potential, though he remained hidden from his father's gaze for many years. Zeus's ultimate goal, as foretold, was to defeat his father Cronus and to free his siblings from the prison of his father's stomach. As an adult, Zeus gathered allies and devised a plan to confront Cronus directly. In his early years, he was aided by the Titaness Metis, who used her cunning to help him overthrow his father. Metis, a figure of wisdom and intelligence, tricked Cronus into regurgitating the children he had swallowed. Using a potion given to her by the goddess Gaia, Metis made Cronus drink a concoction that forced him to vomit up the stone and the 5 children he had devoured, one after the other. The first to emerge from Cronus' stomach were Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon, all of whom were now fully grown and ready to reclaim their birthright. Upon their release, the children of Cronus formed a coalition, vowing to overthrow their father and claim their place as the new rulers of the cosmos. They were joined by many other gods and goddesses, both old and new, in a great and bloody war that would come to be known as the Titanomachy. Cronus, however, was not without his own supporters. Many of the Titans who had followed him in his rise to power stood by his side. These Titans were led by Cronus' brother Iapetus, and together they waged a brutal battle against the Olympians. The Titanomachy was a war of unparalleled scale, with the very fabric of the universe hanging in the balance. The conflict raged on for 10 years, with both sides suffering heavy losses. The key to the Olympians' victory lay in the alliance between Zeus and the monstrous Cyclopes and the 100-handed ones, who had once been imprisoned by Cronus. After his release from Cronus' belly, Zeus freed these imprisoned beings, who, in gratitude, offered their help in the war. The Cyclopes, known for their immense strength and skill in metalworking, forged Zeus's iconic thunderbolts, immensely powerful weapons capable of destroying even the strongest of foes. The 100-handed ones, with their many arms, proved to be fearsome warriors on the battlefield, overwhelming the Titans with their sheer might. The final battle in the Titanomachy took place at Mount Olympus, where the Olympians, led by Zeus, clashed with the Titans. Cronus fought valiantly, but it was clear that the balance of power had shifted. The tide of the war turned against the Titans, and one by one, They were either defeated or forced into submission. In the end, Cronus was overthrown, and the Olympian gods emerged victorious. The victory of the Olympians marked the end of the age of the Titans and the beginning of the reign of Zeus and his siblings. But for Cronus, this defeat was not just a loss of power. It was the ultimate humiliation. He was cast into Tartarus, the deepest part of the underworld, where he would remain for all eternity. His fate was a grim reminder that even the greatest rulers are not immune to the passage of time or the wrath of destiny. Part 4. The Legacy of Cronus, the end of the Titan dynasty. Cronus's downfall was not just the end of his reign, but the fall of the entire Titan dynasty. His tragic fate exemplified the harsh and often cyclical nature of Greek mythology, where power is never truly secure and where the next generation is often destined to rise against the one that came before. The Titanomachy, in which Cronus and his fellow Titans were defeated, set the stage for the rise of the Olympian gods. Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades divided the cosmos among themselves, with Zeus taking the sky, Poseidon claiming the seas, and Hades ruling over the underworld. Yet, the legacy of Cronus and the impact of his rule did not fade easily from the world of Greek mythology. In the aftermath of the war, the Titans were not entirely destroyed. Some were imprisoned in Tartarus, but others, like Oceanus and Prometheus, continued to play significant roles in the world of the gods. The remnants of the Titan rule continued to influence the myths and stories that followed. The enduring struggle between the Titans and the Olympians became a key theme in many mythological tales, reflecting the tensions between the old and the new, the established powers and the rising challengers. Cronus's legacy also had a personal dimension. His role as a father. The tension between Cronus and his children was rooted not only in power struggles, but also in deeply personal dynamics. Cronus's fear of being overthrown by his own offspring and his subsequent actions to prevent this created a rift with his children that never fully healed. His relationship with Zeus, his greatest adversary, is especially tragic. Although Zeus was ultimately victorious, the animosity between father and son lingered, reflecting the deep-seated issues that ran through Cronus's entire lineage. In the broader scope of Greek mythology, Cronus's downfall serves as a cautionary tale of hubris. Despite his great power, he was undone by his fear of the future, a fear that led him to destroy those closest to him in an attempt to hold onto his throne. This fear of losing power and control, embodied in his swallowing of his children, highlights the fragility of even the most powerful rulers. The fear of the future and the desire to secure one's legacy often lead to destructive actions, and in Cronus's case, these actions ultimately brought about his own undoing. The myth of Cronus, while tragic, also serves as a story of transformation. It marks the end of the old gods, the Titans, and the beginning of a new era of divine leadership. Cronus's legacy, in a way, lives on in the Olympians, who, having learned from his mistakes, would go on to rule with a more balanced approach. However, the echoes of Cronus's reign are present throughout Greek mythology, as the story teaches us that time is the ultimate force and no one, not even the mightiest of rulers, can escape its unyielding grasp. Do you think Cronus could have avoided his downfall, or was it inevitable given the prophecy? Share your thoughts in the comments.